crazy.
I don't know how this hasn't become a thing, but someone coined the phrase that he hit a dunk and they said that's a jaw dropper. And
jaw dropper.
The puns.
Hey.
They're so good. But
That's good. I like that.
hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the All-Star Trio Podcast. As always, I am your host, Nick, joined, as always, by my co-host, Luke.
How's it going?
And our moderator, Tori.
Hey guys.
Tori, kick us off.
All right. First segment. NBA. Let's talk about pretenders or contenders.
It's been way too long on this. Let's do it.
We did this for NFL about this, well, I think a little bit later, but I figured why not? Let's do it. We're getting to that point in the NBA.
Yeah, we're halfway through the season?
Just about, so might as well. Almost to the All-Star break, so.
Number one in the Eastern Conference, Nets.
I think those guys are contenders. When they're healthy, when the trio's on the court, so away games, they're terrifying. James Harden just dropped a triple-double. KD's hurt right now, but when you have an MVP and an All-Star as your number 2 and number 3 option, you're pretty well off. So
They are good, but what you said it yourself. When they're healthy, when their big three is on the court. Kyrie has played 5 games this season. 5. KD and Harden are like at 40 now. They're dangerous, yes. But if they don't get Kyrie full time, they're threatening. They could make a run. It'd have to be all away games for them because I don't know how well they do at home without Kyrie if that whole deal extended that deep into the season.
I mean, they're still pretty good. I mean, they went to the start of the season with still like a 3 seed without Kyrie. Because having Kevin Durant and James Harden as your 1 and 2.
True, yeah.
They aren't solid.
They are pretty good.
But,
I mean, 28-16 is not bad.
So.
Number 2, Bulls.
Okay.
Injuries are killing them right now. Levine's out, Lonzo's out. But even then, like they battled against the Bucks yesterday. Their defense is amazing. They have so much good depth. The Bulls remind me of what we thought the Lakers were going to be. Amazing talent, great people, amazing bench. Like
I didn't think that about the Lakers.
Man. You lose Zach LaVine, you still have DeMar DeRozan. You lose Lonzo, you still have some amazing young players. They're a very good team. I think they're very well off because they still have Caruso coming off the bench. I can't name all their players. They still have Vucevic, who's an all-star. He's been down this season because he's been drowned out by DeRozan and LaVine, but that's still an all-star player. And then you still have DeMar DeRozan being an MVP candidate. Like they battled against the Bucks. The Bucks had their amazing trio, and they held them to a defensive standstill. The Bulls, I want to say that they're contenders. I still think they're pretenders. I think they're a very good. How it's been explained to me a couple of times is they're a very good regular season team, but when it comes to the playoffs, they might not be able to hold up, which we'll see because they're still a really good team, and I think that they could be. I still think they might need like another year together, but I think that they're.
I can see that. I would call the Bulls contenders. This team has the best field goal percentage and the best 3-point percentage in the league. Like, even though they're all hurt, it's just a matter of can they hold their top seeds with those guys injured for when they come back and have a good spot in the playoffs. I would go so far as to call this team contenders. The only thing that worries me is that they get no rebounds offensively or defensively. But, I mean, the offense, shooting-wise, is there. They're dangerous.
Number 3, the Heat.
Defense.
Defense.
This is such a powerhouse team defensively. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero is about to win, has a high chance for 6th man of the year. Jimmy Butler still can go out there and get you a 30-point triple-double without shooting any threes in the game. Like, this is such a good team. Like, I have them as contenders purely because of their defense. Their rebounding is strong. Their defense is amazing. They can still put up points. Their bench depth is amazing. Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero are an amazing duo off the bench. I have them as contenders. I think they're a very solid team.
So I gave Chicago contenders. I think Miami's better than Chicago right now. Miami's definitely got a shot. This team getting Adebayo back, that's a huge buff to an already extremely dangerous squad. The only thing right now, I think the only thing that can stop Miami is themselves. And even then, they might still win. Just ask Portland.
Number 4, Bucks.
You can't call the champion last year a pretender. Giannis is a beast. Middleton's still really good. Drew Holiday, he's still a defensive player of the year candidate as a guard, which hasn't happened in a long time. But I think this team is really good. My issue is that they have a bit of a struggle with shooting threes.
Mhm.
As shown with the Bulls game yesterday. There was like a stretch where they couldn't make a three for I think it was 10 consecutive threes. But Giannis still went out there, dropped 30. You still have an amazing group. Grayson Allen got that flagrant 2 and got ejected when he's on the court. He's a very good player. I think that they're a very good team. They have some depth. My only problem is that they can't really hit threes very well. But they can still.
I'd agree with you.
So.
Right now, the only thing they struggle with is an inconsistent offense. That's really just about it. I mean, the defending champs are the defending champs, like you said.
Number 5, Cavaliers.
Pretenders. Very, very good young core. I think that a year or two, you give Darius Garland another year, you give Evan Mobley his rookie season. Kevin Love, something's going to have to happen with him. He's very, very good off the bench. He's been an amazing 6-man. He's so expensive for a 6-man. Ricky Rubio got hurt. That really hurt them. He was having a really good season. I think they're a very good team. I really do. But they're so young that I can't call them contender quite yet.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're pretenders for me. And I like what Cleveland's put together this season. But like you said, they're super young. They only have 3 players with more than 4 years experience in the league, and 2 of them are hurt right now. I think given some time, this team will be extremely dangerous again. But right now, I mean, I don't see it.
Number 6, the 76ers.
Hurts me. I love the 76ers. I love Joel Embiid. I think the pretenders, unless they get something good out of Ben Simmons. If they trade Ben Simmons, like some of the stuff I'm hearing about is for him for like De'Aaron Fox. I think De'Aaron Fox makes them a contender. Getting that star point guard or getting like Buddy Hield and another piece from Sacramento. A lot of talks with Sacramento right now. I said as true as they are, they're probably not because I've heard some really bad trades. But if they can get another star, I think they're contenders because Joel Embiid's playing out of his mind lately. He's averaging like 30 points and 10 rebounds in like his last 9 games. I think they can be. I don't think they are yet.
We wrote the same thing, like almost word for word.
It's pretty much the consistent. The common theme for the 76ers is that they just need another star. They got to trade Ben Simmons. What I'm scared of is they're not going to. I'm really afraid that they're not going to accept any trade ideas, which makes me so
that's really it. Mm-hmm. That's really it for this team. I mean, they get no rebounds anyways because of the Ben Simmons drama. I'd go so far as to say they really need that piece for him. You are completely right. They really need that piece. But yeah, they're not contenders right now. It doesn't matter how many 50-point games Embiid drops.
Number 7, Hornets.
Pretenders. Miles Bridges is at a resurgence. He's been playing out of his mind this season. He could be an all-star, most improved player. LaMelo Ball is also playing like an all-star. They have no defense. They're so undersized. Mason Plumlee is not a good answer for them. They need like a Miles Turner. If they can get like a Miles Turner, which is what they've been talking about getting, I think that they can become serious because they get an amazing defender. They get great depth. I just don't think they're there yet. Same thing with the Cavs. I think it's a super young team, but unlike the Cavs have way too many bigs and rebound really well. The Hornets just don't have that defensive anchor, which I really think they need.
If the Hornets were going to do well in the postseason, it'd come down to how many steals they're getting versus how many turnovers they're allowing. Because this team, last I checked, was like 4th overall in steals and 5th overall in turnovers. So despite their offense, if they were going to do well in the postseason, they'd have to keep those steals up and give themselves more opportunities while really limiting that turnover numbers. Because that's got to go way down for a team like this. So like you said, the defense is kind of rough, but they've got an astounding offense. I mean, Rozier, Ball, those guys can shoot. But
Still
for
think
now,
Rozier
I'd
is the
say,
best player on that team. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league because he plays next to LaMelo Ball.
yeah, they're doing extremely well offensively, but for now, I'd probably call them pretenders. I kind of want to see how this team goes for the rest of the regular season. I think this will be an interesting watch.
I'm wondering if they trade for someone like Ben Simmons, does that make them better? Because I think I could see a couple of trades where they could get Ben Simmons, but I feel like it would require them to give up like Terry Rozier, which I don't think they'll do. But,
Yeah, I wouldn't if I was them.
I mean, their defense is just bad because like Gordon Hayward has like the worst defensive rating out of any starter this season, which is terrible when you consider that one of your best players is supposed to be Gordon Hayward. But he's not scoring, he's not staying healthy, he's not playing defense, he's getting paid a crap ton of money. He's very much like Tobias Harris to me, except Tobias Harris is scoring better. But I just think that they're too raw. Not enough is going their way defensively.
Number 8, Raptors.
Quiet team. Like you really don't hear anything about them. Fred VanVleet's having a all-star season. He's playing out of his mind. Pascal's been playing super well this season. Gary Trent Jr. is like 3rd in the league in steals right now. All in all, I still think and Scotty Barnes, a guy quietly making a run for Rookie of the Year. This Rookie of the Year race is way more entertaining than like the last 3 years have been. But all in all, I think pretenders. I don't think they're quite there yet, but I think they're very much on a good path. I think they can be a very good playoff team that can upset some people. I don't think they're quite there yet for contenders.
I think when it comes down to Toronto, Washington, and then Boston is like right on the edge. I think those 3 teams are pretty interchangeable right now. I would not call Toronto a contender, and to move forward a little bit, I wouldn't call Washington a contender.
Hang on, we're not there yet. Just wait a second.
I know, but I'm drawing comparisons here, right?
Taking my job, are we, Luke?
I'm just drawing comparisons, right? Toronto is a game above 500. Washington is 500. Boston is the game below 500. Like those 3 teams, they're all interchangeable. I don't think right now anybody that gets the 8 or 9 is going to be a contender.
Number 9, Wizards.
Kyle Kuzma is having a heck of a season. Like, he is becoming that player that the Lakers wanted. And it all happens when he left the Lakers, which is becoming an active theme of players, young stars with so much talent and potential, getting hated on by the Lakers nation and then leaving and becoming an amazing player. Like, you consider
Get wrecked, Lakers.
D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Kyle Kuzma being the newest one. Jordan Clarkson, 6th Man of the Year. Like, it's just becoming an active trend where if you're a young star, you leave the Lakers and then you become good. So
Imagine being a Los Angeles
Taylor
fan.
Tucker leave soon. Because, man, Taylor Horton Tucker needs a new place. But I think they're pretenders. I don't like Bradley Beal. I think he's one of the most overrated players in the NBA. And he's showing it this year because his scoring is down, his shooting is down, his games played are down. I think he's a very overrated player in Bradley Beal. But Kuzma's been playing out of his mind, and I wanted him to leave the Lakers so that he could play higher, and he did. So I'm happy about that. Spencer Dinwiddie's having a good year. Apparently, there's trade talks for them getting Domantas Sabonis, which I think would be amazing for that team because they have some. Daniel Gafford's a young center. He could use somebody like Sabonis to learn from. Montrezl Harrell is undersized. I think Domantas Sabonis going in there, that power forward center guy, really helps that team. And I think if they get Sabonis, I think they're a contender then. I really do. Because the spacing, the playmaking, the rebounding, it's all going to be there for them. My thing is, it's just how, if Kuzma continues to play well, then I think that they're a really good team. I also want Bradley Beal on because I don't like him. But when he's there, he's a minus on defense but a plus on offense just because people are afraid of him dropping 30.
Yeah.
30% from 3 and below 40% from the field. But
well, between the two of them, they actually shoot really well from field, but awfully from 3. So right now, I mean, they've got 1 or 2 good pieces that could take a team to the postseason. But yeah, the shooting's just not there. The offense isn't there to make a deep run. And I mean, they're last in steals. They give up. They turn the ball over a decent amount. Like, I don't think this team has it all coming together right now. I would not call them a contender.
And the final team we're going to talk about in the Eastern Conference, number 10, Celtics.
Bad. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, I really think that there's something wrong with the Celtics. I am very rapidly thinking that Tatum and Brown cannot coexist. They cannot play together. They've been trying for years to get these two playing side by side, playing well, and it hasn't worked. And this year, it's been very obvious that it's not working because they're both playing well. They're both playing out of their mind this season. They're both playing all-star caliber players this season. It's not working. They're still not winning. Schroeder's having to carry a huge offensive load. Like random games, he's having to drop like 30 points just to get a loss within 3. The team's struggling. They're barely around 500. They can't seem to get over that hump. Their defense is struggling. It's been all right. They're so middle of the pack in everything that it's not good for the team. I really think that Jaylen Brown is going to be traded at some point this season, purely because the team just isn't fitting together. And that's just the issue. There's too much going on. There's too many scores on the court. Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both ISO players. They're trying to do what the Nets are doing with Harden and KD, and it's just not working. There's no other way I can say it. They're just not coexisting well. They're not fitting together. It's just not working.
So regardless of whether they fit together or not, right now the Celtics' biggest problem is their shooting. Like I know you've seen it. Jason is having an off-year shooting. Like, that's just a fact. It's bad. He's shooting barely over 30% from 3. His field goals are like at 45. That might even be. Yeah, no, he's at 42. Like, the shooting for Jason hasn't been there. He's taking so many more shots than everybody else that he still averages like 35 to 40 points a game. So it's just the shooting. That's all it is. The shots aren't falling when they need them to. I still think this can be a good team. We're like first in the league in blocks. We're like second to last in penalties. We do not get penalized at all. It's just the shooting. That's really the team's main struggle.
All right, well, let's move on to the Western Conference. Number 1.
Conference.
Number 1, Suns.
Contenders. People went into this season wondering if the Suns were going to be able to do what they did last year. Because last year their run was just a whole lot of injuries. Jokic getting hurt, LeBron being hurt. There were just so many of these top tier teams that were hurt. Everyone's like, are the Suns good? Can they do it with everyone healthy? Yes, they can. Devin Booker is an all-star. Chris Paul is an all-star. Ayton, when he's on the court, has been really good for the team. Even when he's off the court. They're making JaVale McGee look like a top 10 center this year for no reason whatsoever. The team is just so well put together. Like, they went on a streak of like 6 straight wins with nobody on the team scoring 20 points or more. Chris Paul's been a point god. He's doing amazing. You got when D-Book was hurt, they still were racking in points and scoring. They are a deep team. They're a strong team. They can play on all levels of the court. I think the Suns is a very, very good team. And I
This
really
is the team to beat.
stuff.
Yeah. This is definitely the team to beat. I mean, they're the last team in the league with single-digit losses as of the time I did my notes. But they're tied for first in field goal percentage. They're like fifth in three-point percentage. They shoot extremely well, and they have the defense to back it up. Like everything you said about the all-star players, Chris Paul averages like 10 assists, Devin Booker averaging like 25 points. This is the team to beat. They absolutely are contenders this year.
Number 2, the Warriors.
Since Clay came back, they've actually gotten worse, which I don't like. Steph Curry was on this bad streak before, like just before Clay came back. But these past few games with Clay back, Steph's been struggling. Like they just beat, like he dropped like 30 points in a game winner against Houston. They had to go win with a game winner. With Jalen Green, the Houston's arguable star player going like 0 for 11 from the field with 3 points. Steph had to hit a game winner. Clay wasn't on the court. They haven't been playing great. And it's been sad and it's upsetting me because I really want to like hype these guys up. But Steph's been struggling. Clay him on the court for some reason isn't working with the team. He's putting up a lot of shots and not making a lot, which I think will get better as he continues to play this. He hasn't played in like 2 years. So all in all, I'm going to say contender because there's so many things that's like, give it a little bit and they'll get better. Like Steph will get out of this slump. Clay will get used to the game speed again. This is still a deep, good team. Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga. Like this is still a good team. But they got to get it together. They've kind of dropped off a little bit. But I still think they can be a very good team.
Slump is a good word to use for Golden State right now. I mean, they're still putting up respective numbers from the field and from three, but I think this team is going to come out of it. I think given some time, they're going to figure out how the team works within itself with Clay back. Everything they're struggling with right now, they should be able, knowing the talent of this team, they should be able to overcome that by the time the playoffs roll around. I'd say Golden State is a contender. They're number 2 for a reason.
So there's this guy on Twitter. He's kind of been flowing around because he made this thing. He's been making these charts called the efficiency landscape. His Twitter is at Kirk's Goldsberry. I'm just going to add him so that I can not get copyright claimed for using his chart. So it's this handy little chart, and it pretty much shows the team's net defense versus net offense and their overall. And it usually goes by the last 15 games. In the last 15 games, they've been the number 2 net defense, but they've been 25th in net offense. And they're number 9 overall in net worth. Their offense is struggling, which is not something we expect from Golden State. We expect high-powered offense with maybe a little bit of a lackluster defense. That hasn't been it. And I completely give that to Draymond Green. He's been playing out of his mind defensively this year. Like, they are like, I think it's 6-12 or something without him. Like, they've been struggling when they don't have Draymond Green on the court. He is just so much their defensive anchor. But
I hate Draymond Green, but they're doing really well defensively because of it.
I agree with you. But he's been doing a podcast. I don't know what the podcast is called. His takes have been amazing, and I hate it. Because Draymond Green's one of those guys where it's like, I don't want to agree with him because I think he's an a-hole. But he's right. Like, whenever you listen to him talk on the podcast, like, he had a recent take on John Morant where it's like, no, I don't think he's the most improved player. I think the most improved player is Miles Bridges.
I saw that.
But let's talk about Ja and the MVP conversation. And I love that.
Number 3, the Grizzlies.
John Morant's playing out of his mind. This is a very good young team. But this was my take on most young teams is that they're not contenders. And for that, I have the Grizzlies as a pretender. I don't like saying that young teams are contenders because it just seems wrong because you have to have like that veteran piece to really be a contender. So for that reason, I have the Grizzlies as pretenders. I think one more year, and I would probably put them in that contenders market. A lot of places are putting them as like NBA Finals favorites. They're going to win it all. Jack Settleman, the All-Star Trio podcast, super popular pod. he has what's called cutie teams that they think are cuties. That team that just plays super well but just isn't there. Like this year, his cuties were the Bengals were cuties. The Eagles were cuties. For the NBA, the Grizzlies are cuties. They're those teams that play super well. They're very much like the Cavs. They play super well during the regular season. They're very good. They're not going to make a big splash in the playoffs. I think they might win a playoff game because they've been really, really solid. I don't think they're going to win at all.
Here's the thing about Memphis, right? I think I can see why you would call them a cutie team. I can see why that would be the title there. Memphis has a very surprising stat line, and I think they have one of the brightest futures in the league. They're extremely good at preventing opponents from having effective possessions. This team is first in steals and first in blocks. They're second across the league in offensive rebounds. This team can shoot the ball and stop you from shooting the ball. And I think that second part, the preventing from having effective possessions, is something that's going to be extremely valuable to them in the postseason. I think this team legitimately has a chance. I think this team is a contender right now. They are young, yes. But right now, the way they look is an extremely potent offense with an okay, this is interesting. Just saw this. You know how the Dallas defense was really good for their turnover margin? Memphis is kind of doing the same right now. They're not turning the ball over, and they're making opponents turn the ball over. I think this is going to be an extremely fun team to watch, and I think they've got one of the better chances out of all the young teams in the league, if not the best chance.
So going back to the little efficiency landscape thing, over the last 15 games, they're 12-3. They've got number 5 net, 11th in offense, and 6th in defense. And like you said, they are very fun to watch. Like their offensive rebounding between Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson, their defense with those two. Desmond Bain's been playing super well. And we've had some amazing, like just nicknames and stuff for Ja Morant. Like his little double block off the backboard, him going up to block a shot and pretty much almost clearing the person with how high in the air he got.
Yeah,
recently,
it's crazy.
I don't know how this hasn't become a thing, but someone coined the phrase that he hit a dunk and they said that's a jaw dropper. And
jaw dropper.
The puns,
Hey,
they're so good. But
that's good. I like that.
they're a very good young team. They're very exciting, and they are very, very fun to watch. And I love them. I really do. I think the Grizzlies are an amazing team. I went and hyped them up even before the season started. Like back when I got on the All-Star Trio podcast for a little like fan service episode where they like had fans come on and give their takes. I said that the Grizzlies were a good team. I still think they were. I just don't.
I listened to that episode. That is true.
I don't think that they're quite there. They remind me very much of last year's Hawks team. A young point guard, an amazing power forward, a strong center, great young pieces. The difference is I think this team is much better coached. And for that reason, I think that they can do good. I really do. I'm hype on this team. I just don't think they can win it all. I don't think that they're that contender level yet.
Number 4, Jazz.
The Utah surprised me, honestly. I didn't realize they were doing so good.
Dude, they always do that. They do this every single season. They're so good. Nobody says anything. But just like every season, they are pretenders. They manage to do super good, and they just don't go all the way. Rudy Gobert is calling out his own players. He called out Donovan Mitchell for being lackluster defense, saying that he called him out and said, you know what's different between Donovan Mitchell and like Devin Booker? Devin Booker's taken a step up on defense. Blah, blah, blah. What?
Wow.
Why? Like, there was no reason for that. Mike Conley's old. He hasn't been playing amazing. Their other pieces haven't been doing great. Rudy Gobert has been doing really good defensively, and he's putting up numbers offensively, but his stats against guards defensively is horrible. He still cannot guard a guard. He can't guard a guard. He can't guard the point guard. He can't guard a shooting guard. An athletic center like Jokic. Well, not athletic. A dynamic center like Jokic gives him problems. It's rough. And I think come playoff time, they play a team that goes small ball. They're done. Because as soon as you get Rudy Gobert away from the rim, he's not as useful. I think a team like this is a team that I think the Grizzlies could upset. If the Grizzlies played the Jazz, I think they'd beat them. Because Steven Adams isn't really going to – Steven Adams goes high post a lot. He really does. That spaces the floor. Jaren Jackson Jr. spaces the floor. John Morant cuts in. John Morant can go over. Like we watched Russell Westbrook posterize Rudy Gobert. Jaw's way more athletic than Russell is right now. John Morant reminds me of like a young D Rose. I forgot to make that comparison when I was talking about them. That's my comparison.
Okay.
A lot of people are saying like he reminds me of Russell Westbrook. He reminds me of D Rose, and his stats are very similar to D Rose's MVP year. But going back to the Jazz, which we're talking about, Donovan Mitchell hasn't been playing as amazing as he has been the last few seasons. He's kind of taken like a step back. It's not a big step. Like he's still playing amazing, but it's a step back. The team's gotten older. They have a lot of old pieces. And Rudy Gobert is another person where I'm like, he's right there at that Bradley Beal caliber of overrated for me. Because he gets a lot of blocks, yes. He plays a lot of good defense against slower centers. But as soon as you have him, like they try to pick and roll him off onto guard because he can't guard point guards and shooting guards. They try to space the floor. Athletic centers like, or athletic, I make that sound again. Dynamic centers like Jokic and Embiid. They're just not, he's not as good against them. That's my standing with the Jazz. I think they're pretenders, and I think that, like always, they're going to get exposed in the playoffs as soon as they go small ball.
It's weird to call the team that's like first across the league in points a pretender, but honestly, I kind of agree with you. In the regular season, they have one of the best offenses, to my understanding. But I think you're right about what's going to happen in the postseason. I really do. And I mean, just looking first in points, like tied for first in field goal percentage, they're like 6th in 3-point percentage. You'd think a team with those stats would like have a chance to go super deep. But then you look and it's Utah and you watch their games. And I'm like, I kind of agree with Nick on this one.
Number 5, Mavericks.
No.
Hurts me. No. Their pieces aren't there. Dorian Finney-Smith has been playing really well lately. He's probably been our second or third best player. His defense has been like amazing. I'm a huge Mavs fan, so I might go off a little bit here. Luka's shooting percentages aren't there. When he's on the court, though, he plays amazing. Kristaps just yet again has proven that he isn't that young piece that we thought he was going to be. Max Kleber can't hit his threes consistently anymore. Tim Hardaway's coming off the bench, and he's not playing great. Jalen Brunson has been amazing. I think Jalen Brunson is going to leave this season. He's going to become a starting point guard on the team because he's been that guy. He's been really good for the team. What surprised me is over the last 15 games, you know how I said Golden State was the number 2 defensive rating team? The Mavericks are number 1 in defensive rating in their last 15 games. They are number 2 in net rating, number 1 in defense, and number 17 in offense. Like Golden State, this is another one where it's like you expect high-powered offense. You don't expect defense. They've played defense super well lately. They've also just had a ton of turnovers, and they can't shoot consistently. They're very similar to the Celtics in that manner. Our star players just can't shoot consistently. That and our defense collapses in the fourth quarter. Like we had a huge lead against Phoenix the other day. We were up like 15 going into the fourth, and we ended up losing by 10. We kind of collapsed in the fourth quarter. We struggle, but it's a good team. It really is. I don't think Porzingis is that guy, and we really need other pieces. We need better bench pieces because Trey Burke isn't that guy. Tim Hardaway isn't that guy. Marquise Chris, Boban, they're just not those pieces that we need.
My problem with Dallas has been and probably will continue to be that Luka is Dallas. Porzingis, like you said, doesn't contribute more than him. Their bench players don't contribute enough to support him and really make him a elite team. Luka does everything for Dallas. And right now he's dealing with a neck injury. I don't see this team getting better. I would hesitate to say they're even going to stay where they are right now, come in the season 6 games above 500. Dallas doesn't have it this year. They've got to figure out how they're going to effectively support Luka. Because right now, just riding one guy, riding Luka all the way to the finals isn't going to work. Because to be completely honest with you, I'm surprised Luka's neck is what's hurting and not his back for carrying Dallas this far.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Number 6, Nuggets.
Pretenders. Very similar.
Pretenders.
Very similar to Dallas. Jokic is doing everything for that team. He is, like you said, his back should be hurting how badly he's carrying the team. I think a lot of his injuries. Michael Porter went out for the season. Jamal Murray isn't back yet. And those are 2 huge pieces for the team. Aaron Gordon,
Yeah, the Michael Porter injury was huge.
Aaron Gordon hasn't been amazing for the team. Jokic is pretty much doing everything for that team. And they're still not doing amazing. They're struggling. It's just what happens. Very similar to Dallas for me. I think that they can do good. Another team that I think matches up well is against teams like the Jazz or a team like even like the Warriors. I think that they match up well because Jokic is so big and dynamic and does everything.
As good as Joker has been leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, I don't see the Nuggets seeing much success in the playoffs. To be completely honest with you, I think Minnesota is going to end up better than Denver by the end of the season.
Number 7, Lakers.
No.
No. Dude, Russell Westbrook is getting way too much hate. Like, I'll admit, he's not playing, like, out of his mind, but he's not playing bad. Like, people will put these highlights of the misses that he's making, like some of these bad shots he's taking, like, yeah, they're horrible. They're not working. He's still shooting, like, 45% from the field and 32% from 3. That's not bad. That's not horrible. He's still giving you almost, I think it's 18, 8, and 8 is about what he's averaging. That's pretty good numbers. My only issue with Westbrook is that he's turning the ball over almost 5 times a game, and he can't do that. He doesn't have that explosive athleticism like he used to. He's getting older. I think he's gonna have to start realizing that he's not that big explosive player anymore. I don't agree with like Kendrick Perkins, who says he should come off the bench. I don't think that's a horrible idea for me. But LeBron's playing out of his mind, which is ridiculous considering how old he is. Their bench isn't that. Malik Monk's been playing well. Austin Reeves has been playing well. Carmelo's has kind of fallen off a cliff a little bit. He's not playing as well. Their defense is still really bad. Like they are 21st in net, 12th in offense, and 27th in defense over the last 15 games. That's not good. Their defense is bad. They're so old. I just don't think that they can. LeBron's trying. AD's still hurt. When he comes back, I think they'll be a little bit better, but not much better. I still think Russ is playing very well. He's just not at that high caliber that he used to be. And I wish ESPN would show like some of his highlights, like his passes, his plays, how he is making shots. Like he's still shooting almost 50% from the field. But no, let's show this one really bad miss that he had instead of the other 20 players airballing shots.
Oh, were you wanting me to say something? No, sorry. The only thing I wrote for this section was no. Boston Celtics.
The pettiness.
Lakers suck.
It's not even just pettiness, but just biased. Number 8, Clippers.
No, too injured. Paul George is out for who knows how long. Kawhi Leonard's out for who knows how long. I mean, the only highlight I've seen of Kawhi Leonard was the fact that he was at an LA Rams game and Paul George was like partying it up, celebrating, and then it just pans to Kawhi awkwardly sitting there on his phone, like glancing over, like, I don't know these people. As like Paul George is like waving a towel, like having the time of his life. You just have Kawhi awkwardly. Pretenders, 2 beat up, 2 injured. They're not gonna do it.
Yeah, I agree with what Nick said. The Clippers looked good at the beginning of the season, but hadn't quite turned out.
Number 9, Timberwolves.
Pretenders, 0 help. They have like their 3 big guys and then nobody else. Cat's been playing amazing. Anthony Edwards has been playing really good. D'Angelo Russell is super inconsistent. Patrick Beverly just will randomly drop 15, 8, and steals, and then the next game go like 0 for 7 with 4 turnovers. And then who's the rest of their team? Naz Reid, Michael Beasley. Who the frick are these people? Not enough players on that team to really make an impact. Their bench isn't very good. I think they have a great young core. They just have nothing else with it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I stick by what I said. I do think Minnesota will end up better than Denver this year, whether that's Minnesota goes on a big winning streak or Denver falls off. But yeah, this team couldn't compete with a team like Phoenix, and I think that's pretty obvious. They're pretenders. I mean, there's not much more to say.
Number 10, Trailblazers.
No, old, beat up, injured. CJ McCollum came back, hasn't really done much. Yusuf Nurkic had the game of his life against the Celtics the other day, but it doesn't matter. Like, I just want to bring up Nurkic. He had like 30, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. The Celtics are terrible. Had the game of his life against them, but Dame's out for maybe the whole season. Who knows? So there's nothing going to happen there. Even with him, they weren't playing well. CJ McCollum is not Damian Lillard. He's a great player. He still doesn't give you much defense. Anthony Simmons might win 6th Man of the Year if he doesn't start too many games. He's had a great season. Just nothing else from that team impresses me. They're not consistent. They don't keep their stats going up. They haven't been that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I think credit to Miami, like I said in their section, but I think a team like the Trailblazers, who goes against a Miami team who's lost like 3 of their biggest players by the half and still loses. This team in it, man. This team in it. Rest in peace, Portland. I can't believe they still lost to the Heat like that.
All right, guys. Next segment. NFL. Let's talk about the wild card round.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
You don't have a choice.
God, that was a fun game. All right.
Fun? I disagree. Let's talk about Patriots versus Bills. They went 17-47, and Bills won.
Imagine.
The Bills are really good. Dude.
It's fine. They're about to lose to Kansas City.
The defense against the Bills looked so good. The defense looked amazing. And then Josh Allen, throwing the ball away, still managed to throw a touchdown in the back of the end zone.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
Did you see
it's so stupid. Yes, I hate it.
Oh, yeah, I definitely meant to do that. He thought he threw the ball away, and he heard all the cheer. He was running back to the huddle. Like, you watched the film, he was, like, jogging back to the huddle. And everyone's telling, he, like, looks around for a second, and then he's like, oh. Literally a perfect game. 7 drives, 7 touchdowns. They did not punt. They did not shoot. They did not kick a field goal. They scored a touchdown every single drive.
Why are teams allowed to do that?
And then there was that one ridiculous interception. I don't know if you saw that play. Holy crap, that interception was so impressive. I can't remember the safety who did it. But, man, it was amazing. Their defense looked amazing. They stopped everything.
All right, as much as I hate to say it, if Buffalo plays like that the rest of the playoffs.
Luke's take will go down.
No, don't.
Oh, man. Oh, Luke, remember our take episode where I was like, yeah, I got to agree with you. The Bills are bad. No, I don't. The Bills are really good.
I have
You're
never
just
said anything about
saying.
the Bills.
No, it's fine. It's just New England that sucks.
I'm never saying anything about the Bills because when y'all say something about the Bills, it just goes bad. So I'm just never gonna say anything about the Bills ever. All right, second game, Raiders versus Bengals. The score was 19-26, and Bengals came out on top.
Yeah, it's just kind of what I expected to happen.
I mean, I thought
Agreed.
that Max Crosby played his heart. I think he ended up with like 4 or 5 QB hits and 2 sacks, a bunch of hurries.
Mhm.
The O line was bad. It was. They also didn't really dial up any like big deep ball explosive plays. They really didn't have to. I still think it was a great game. Very controversial. That referee crew is done for like the rest of the playoffs because of that whistle call. Because that's
Yeah.
so controversial.
Yeah.
Because the whistle was blown because they believe Joe Burrow went out of bounds. He did. He threw a touchdown. It was a touchdown. The issue is the whistle was blown. The play should have been dead. No review. No review should have been done. No touchdown should have been counted. It should have been dead play, gone. That's the rules. Didn't happen. They reviewed it. It was called a touchdown. Said he wasn't out of bounds. And then that whole game, the referee crew was just bad. The entire game. But be as it may, the Bengals didn't look amazing. Like they scored 27, but they didn't look amazing. Like, they didn't dial up a big plays like they usually do. They didn't look as amazing. Their O-line looked riddled. And give it as you may, Derek Carr really did beat up their defense. Like, if he had a few more weapons on that team, they probably would have won that game. But
No, maybe, but they're too busy getting pulled over for going 150 on the freeway. So
God, the Raiders, and they just need to stop driving. Someone needs to take all the Raiders players' cars and their social medias, everything. Antonio Brown should have stayed on that team. He would have fit in perfectly.
finally, accountability for the refs. Dallas fans have been saying that all season. The refs finally got in trouble somehow.
All right, Steelers versus Chiefs. That game was
Jumping around the
21-42,
games.
and Chiefs.
I see you, Tori, jumping around the other games in the order. I'm looking at. I noticed that. Okay.
Well, I mean, considering the fact that there's a
We'll
lot
get
of bias on this podcast, and the other two games involved your
Hey,
favorite team
I'm
and
not
mine and
gonna
Luke's
be.
favorite
I'm
team.
not going to be biased about my team. Okay, don't worry about that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's what you
Okay,
said in the
okay,
group chat. There was
Chiefs,
no
Steelers, the
bias
Chiefs,
there.
Steelers. The
Chiefs Steelers. Yeah.
Chiefs.
played really good the first quarter. Rest of the game, nothing. The defense played good. The offense was horrible. Big Ben played bad. The receivers were bad. They couldn't really get a run with Najee going. Say what you want. I still think the Chiefs are really, really good. Their offense struggled against what's a top defense. It is. You can't tell me that the Chiefs defense is amazing. Like, they locked down Hill. Trey Norwood was locking down Kelsey in the first quarter. It just so happened the rest of that game, Kelsey had his way. They destroyed the zone. They beat up the team. Andy Reid is a genius. So if his play calls, like, they had this one play where they had Tyreek Hill. They had like a 3-man line of theirs. It was like a 3-man Russian doll of sizes. Like, it was Kelsey, a medium receiver, and then a short receiver. And they had Tyreek Hill run to the left, run to the right, run back to the left, and then they hiked the ball, and he cut in the middle, and he ended up getting a touchdown because he was like pushing behind the O-line. It was like a little flick. Patrick Mahomes had that like underhand toss touchdown.
I hate shovel pass. I hate
Dude,
quarterbacks.
The Chiefs' offense is amazing. Trick plays, just ability to score. Their offense is amazing. It's a beautiful thing to watch. It's so exciting to watch their offense play. Their defense is still not amazing, but it's been really good, and it can still do its job. I still think that that's a good team. I really think the Chiefs are a very good team, but the Steelers, Big Ben, goodbye, retire. I've heard rumors that he might not retire. He might actually try to get a contract with another team. I really hope that doesn't happen. Then you just need to leave. Just go out with a bang. Consistent, no losing seasons. Just stop.
They made it to the playoffs somehow. Just go out while you're on top.
Brutal.
You say you hate quarterbacks. Well, when me and my dad were first teaching my mom about football, she thought that quarterbacks were pointless. So she was like, "There's no point in a quarterback." We're like, "Oh." All right. Since Nick says there's no bias at all, Eagles versus Buccaneers, and that score was 15-31, and Buccaneers came out on top.
We expected this. Like, there was hype that the Eagles would win. Like, we went in with like this big underdog mentality. They weren't gonna win. Like,
that's not what the Tampa Bay
That's not what your
secondary is so
text
beat
said.
up. We can run the ball. We can throw the ball on their riddled
Okay.
secondary.
Okay.
That's not what those episodes
the
said.
second half of the game, we did really good. Jalen Hurts was injured. His foot was in a thing. His foot ended up getting in a cast at the end of the game. He wasn't able to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't
he
know
walked
that.
off the field in a cast.
Hmm.
Even without that, the offense was really weird. The defense stood for a while. Like, for a lot of that game, they looked really good. The offense just didn't look good. Like, Jalen Rager was horrible. We couldn't get anything to our tight end. They kept double teaming Goddard. Jalen Hurts kept missing people. He really did. It was a rough game for Hurts. Besides that, he still put up some good stats. Like, he really did. He ended up with like a touchdown and 2 interceptions. That one play.
I don't know if that's good stats in a playoff game. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay. People are already willing to like give up on Hurts, trade him away, go get somebody else. Did we really think that the first-year head coach with the first-year starter, the rookie star wide receiver, a riddled offense, a riddled defense, and who knows with our running backs and how good they can be versus how good they are against Tom Brady and the stacked Tampa Bay team that it is? The thing that I do give us credit for, we beat them up. We really did. We took out 2 of their offensive line. I think one of them might not play next game. I don't know about. I think it's Wirfs, who is out.
I remember you talking about this.
Like, yeah, we beat him up a little bit. We did. We couldn't get a pass rush going. Tom Brady, but what I will say, Tom Brady did not look very good on deep balls. He didn't. He looked like he couldn't pick up the blitz as well. He was struggling. There were a few drives where he wasn't making good throws. His throws were kind of all over the place. Give as it takes. Our defense didn't look amazing. We kept dropping back in zones. Mike Evans kept throwing little hook routes that we couldn't defend. It was a rough game. It was. Like, it ended up being very rough. Nobody on the Eagles looked good. The first half of the game, we looked like we regressed to how we were at the beginning of the season. We were trying to pocket pass. We weren't running the ball as much. And then when it came down to it, we couldn't run the ball on that defense because it is a pretty good run defense. But I did go into this game super hyped. I will admit that. The end of the game, I'm not all that upset. Like, it is what it is. We lost to the reigning champs, Super Bowl candidate, Tom Brady. I'm not all that upset about the loss. This is a rebuilding year, and we went out the same way the Cowboys did, so I'm not all that upset.
To be fair, I mean, I wouldn't be upset about it either if I was an Eagles fan. I mean, I was hoping you beat Tampa Bay. Really, I was. But yeah, I mean, that's how it was always going to go. From an outsider's perspective, that's how I always expected it to go. I hope you would beat Tampa Bay, but the Eagles suck.
We're above schedule with our rookie. We really are.
You know, as much as I don't,
Sorry.
as much as I don't care about the Eagles, I do agree. Jalen Hurts gets a lot of like slack.
Oh, dude, you have no clue.
I'm pretty sure I have some idea.
Tori, it's so bad. It's horrific. There's one
I
He's
side
got
of
a
the
baby
fan base-
arm.
There's one side
He
of the fan
does
base
not.
that's, like, sucking off Jalen Hurts and like, keep him. He's this. He's all this. Honestly, I'm part of that fan base. And then there's this other part of the fan base that's like, go get Russell Wilson. Go get him. Go get Aaron Rodgers. We need this veteran piece. We're right there on the brink of contention. We're not. And then there's also this other girl that's like, go get Deshaun Watson, which I'm fine with. I really think Deshaun Watson could be good, but that's a later segment, so I'll come back to that one. But we'll talk about our teams later. Next, let's finish up the division.
Okay.
The wild card round.
Baby arm.
49ers versus the Cowboys.
I called it. Y'all suck.
I'm so mad.
3 17 49ers came out on top.
Dude. Four.
I hate when people are right.
14 penalties.
I know
And
it's
there
so
should have
bad.
been more. There were so many missed penalties on the guy. Like I don't know. I don't know if I sent it. I think I saved it because I was gonna send it later. There's one play where Brandon Ayuk, it was a run play. Brandon Ayuk bodied up Micah Parsons defensively, cut off the edge, did his job perfectly, and then Micah Parsons reared up and punched him in the face. And the ref just stood there, watched it happen, and then jogged over there and was like, calm down, break it up. Like, I mean, he pulled back and nailed him in the face. Hang on, because by y'all's reactions, I don't think I sent this. I'm going to send this.
You gotta send that to
Alright,
me.
Well, for this game, I'm just gonna blame Luke because Luke didn't watch the game until the fourth quarter.
I didn't.
So
Are we still going
I'm just gonna
down?
blame Luke on this one. This is all Luke's fault because he didn't watch. So
Every time I don't watch the Cowboys is when we lose. It's just how it is.
I
So
don't know what it is.
I'll do better next season. That's on me. I was
Yeah.
driving to go watch the game while the game was going on.
All right, I sent it.
I blame
Jimmy
Luke.
G
It's Luke's
tried
fault
to
we
give
lost.
y'all this game. Like, he threw a horrible interception. Jimmy G tried to give you this game.
A horrible interception. That was just a great interception by AB on the Dallas side of things.
You
He
know,
overthrew his receiver by like 5 yards. Calm down.
the amount of fighting that went on in the group chat of us just screaming at each other and being tired of each other and not wanting anything, and just it was all back and forth, and we were all done with each other. Really.
Whoa, hold on, Nick. Hold on, Nick.
Quarterback draw with 14 seconds left. Quarterback draw 14.
I'll talk about that. Hold on. I'm watching this video. That guy, this video is a little different from the story you were saying.
What do you mean? He cut him off on the edge. Held
Uh-huh.
in place. He didn't foul him. He held him in place. Cut off the edge.
Well,
That's what
it was it's a decent block. After the block, he shoves Micah Parsons in the back, and that's why Micah Parsons hit him. Not because he just did his job well.
Okay, if you look at it, Micah Parsons is holding on to his arm. He pushed him. He and it was barely a push. Like, he got him off of him, but that's nothing more than that's nothing more than an average football play. You can't tell me that doesn't happen 25 times a game. Doesn't mean you rear up and freaking right hook the guy.
So many penalties. That was our biggest issue in the regular season, and that's exactly what happened in the postseason.
What was our average penalties?
You were first in the league.
Our average penalty was like 7 penalties a game. Like, it is ridiculous, and we need to pull back on penalties because averaging at 7 a game is way too many. And getting 15 penalties in this last game is ridiculous, and that should not be something that is happening.
How does a team give up 14 penalties?
I don't know.
All I saw this game was everything that I've been saying about the Cowboys. The offense can't. It's too inconsistent to keep up with top caliber defenses. Like, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, probably their 2 best defensive players, went out in like the first half, and y'all still couldn't catch back up. Y'all couldn't catch up to 24 points in Jimmy G. And then your defense is not good unless you're getting turnovers. When y'all got turnovers, y'all started getting better. But before that,
we were so close.
And then into the game, QB draw, 14 seconds left, and then he gave the ball to the center. That is one of the most routine rules, is that the ref has to touch the ball. Like, I was watching the game, and I know that, and I'm an idiot, and I knew that. He gave
who was he going to give the ball to? Who else was he going to give it to? There were no refs in sight.
There was one like 5 yards to his left.
He ran 50 yards. The one that was close didn't even care. He was like, oh, I'm just leisurely walking. No, there was a ref that ran 50 yards.
He shouldn't have ran that far. Like, every quarterback in this it's 7 yards and then you stop. It's 7 to 10 yards and then you stop. You're supposed to go down and then get the ball out.
Yeah, he ran too far.
And if he hadn't, there would have been like almost 20 seconds left, which would have been plenty of time. Same time, that was just bad. Dak, that was undisciplined yet again. And I don't think Dak is as good a quarterback as people say. Like, I was really on his hype train during the preseason and everything, thinking Dak is like he is this top caliber quarterback. This year, he didn't show it. He has all these weapons. He couldn't do it. CeeDee Lamb is not used properly. They can't get the run game going with their amazing O-line. For some reason, who was it? Cedric Wilson, I think.
Who?
Is.
Who? What O-line? Amazing O-line? I don't know if you know what you're talking about, man.
This year. Like all season, the Cowboys' O-line has been top 10 this season.
They may be top 10. That was not a good O-line. That's not a good O-line.
You just ran into the 49ers D-line, which is really freaking good for no reason.
Okay, I'll say my piece. Dak Prescott played better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He had more yards. He tied interceptions and had a passing touchdown. He did better. We can't run. One rushing touchdown, and it was Dak on a 4-yard carry. We can't run.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why we haven't been using Amari Cooper. I really don't. But at least he was the one passing touchdown this game.
I think Dak has PTSD from his injury. I think.
I think he's past it.
He seemed ready at the end of the game.
He has not played the same since his injury.
No.
He hasn't.
No. Yeah.
And I genuinely think he has PTSD, which is fair. But we need to move on. I know, moderate the moderator. I was about to say, because we need to move on, which I said earlier. I was like, let me finish my comment and we'll move on. But then we kept going. We can talk about this later. Cardinals versus Rams. 11-34, Rams came out on top.
Expected.
Kingsbury needs to go. He is not that good. Here's the thing. I think Kingsbury is a good coach. I really do. The issue is he doesn't adapt. He doesn't change his plays. He doesn't play how the team plays. I think that's his issue, is that every team sees how he plays the first half of the season, and he doesn't change anything. And so the teams adapt, the defenses adapt. He doesn't. That O-line was horrible. The Cardinals O-line was really freaking bad. No D-Hop being there really hurt the team, but Kyler had no time in the pocket. He was constantly in his own end zone. And then, the Rams looked really freaking good. Odell Beckham looked good. Cooper Kupp looked good. Stafford looked good. The defense looked really good. This team looks like a top team. Von Miller had 2 sacks and a bunch of tackles. This looks like a team that a super team that they traded to build. It looked like what it is. And honestly, there's nothing else to say. The Rams looked really freaking good, and the Cardinals just didn't.
My sick brain did me wrong. I said against my better judgment that I shouldn't pick the Cardinals, but I did. Do I regret it? Maybe a little.
The Cardinals offense was more inconsistent than the Dallas offense through the late part of the season.
All I want to say, through all these games, I got them all right. Oh, so happy. Okay, so when I
imagine being a fan and not sending your team to the Super Bowl.
So when we were on last pod, I took my thing. I had 2 brackets that I had. It was way too confusing to keep up with. It was a headache. So before, as soon as halfway through the Eagles game, I just kind of combined them because I was like, man, I'm just tired of looking at the 2 brackets and trying to go back and forth and back and forth. So I went back to a singular bracket, and I guessed all the rest of the games right. So
I also went back to, I didn't combine anything. I went with a single bracket, and just so you guys know, so there was no cheating. We have the rule where whatever is said on the podcast goes, but with how teams are and how we did everything, we sent it in the group chat and we said, this is it, no more changes, nothing. So even though we can mention it on the podcast, we did do our final picks together. So we already know what we've decided. That way there was no cheating.
Speaking of what we decided, Tori, let's go over the next. Let's go.
All right. The next game, well, I say next. The first game in the divisional round is the 49ers versus the Packers.
I think the Packers are going to
Packers.
The 49ers.
The
Like,
Packers need to destroy the 49ers.
if the 49ers can keep it close, I think they're good. The issue is, I don't think they'll keep it close. The Packers are really good. Aaron Rodgers has been super good in the pocket. They still have Devontae Adams, who's been super good. I can't remember. They're getting back a couple of players off of injury that have been injured most of the year. One, I think they're O-lineman. I can't remember his name. It's a weird name, starts with a B. I can't pronounce it right to save my life. So he's going to be back. The O-line got better. The defense got better. And this was a number 1 seed. Like, this was a top team. This is the team to be injured. They're healthy now. I think the 49ers, I don't know if Nick Bosa is going to play. Fred Warner's supposed to play. Matt LaFleur is a very, very good coach. I think he's going to outcoach Kyle Shanahan, but I think it's going to be very close. If the 49ers can keep it close, I think they can do it. I don't think Jimmy G is going to outdo Aaron Rodgers. So
I have the Packers for this one. All right,
It will be Packers.
all right. The next game is Bengals versus Titans.
I want to see Cincinnati win. I want to see Cincinnati win.
I went with Cincinnati.
Oh, you hype train. Following the hype of the Bengals. The Titans are bringing this one. Return of the King. Derrick Henry's coming back. They're going to run
They have not done me wrong this season. This is a team I'm actually liking. They haven't done me wrong. Leave me alone about my pick.
Okay. Their defense has been really good this year. They're going to run a too-high defense, which is going to hurt Joe Burrow because he likes to dial up the deep ball. He likes to throw it deep. A 2-safety look is going to really cause him issues. They have probably one of the best safeties this year in Byard, B-Y-R-D, however you say his last name. Their defense has been good. A.J. Brown has looked really good the last few games. Even without Derrick Henry, they still got the 1 seed. Like, this is still a really good team. And they just got better. They got their best player back. I think they're going to run the ball well. I think they're going to be able to open up the passes way more. They don't really have much of a pass rush defense, but that doesn't matter because the Bengals don't have an O-line. So I still think Joe Burrow's going to get pressured. Their secondary is really good. I don't think he's going to be able to get as many big plays as he wants. I think that the Titans win this game purely because they run the clock out.
Maybe. I've said this before. I think the only way the Titans would lose this game is if they go for over-reliance on Derrick Henry and he doesn't play 110%. Would I like to see Cincinnati win this game? Yes. Could I see it going either way? Also, yes. I'm going to go with Bengals for now. If Derrick Henry just runs 500 yards and the Titans win in a blowout, so be it.
The next game is Rams versus Buccaneers. And I originally had Cowboys down as a win, and I said that the Cowboys would go on. So I guess that means that the Bucs lose, in my opinion. I don't really know. If it's versus the Rams, I think that it's going to be the Bucs, but that's not what I have. I have the Cowboys, which doesn't make any sense.
I have the Rams winning purely because the Eagles beat up the Bucs O-line. Like, that's been the Bucs' strength, is that their O-line's been healthy. They have 2 injured players. One guy might be out. The other guy might not be 100%. Aaron Donald, Von Miller. That's a pretty dang good pass rush. Tom Brady against the Eagles didn't seem like he was able to pick up the blitz as well. His receivers are still 100%. Mike Evans and Jalen Ramsey is going to be a must-watch. But Jalen Ramsey has owned that matchup consistently. I think the Rams are going to do it. Stafford is going to look good. He's a much better passer than Jalen Hurts is. I think that's pretty consensus. Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham are going to
Baby arm.
No. Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham are going to destroy that secondary. I have the Rams winning this one purely because they're made to beat the Bucs. They're going to get pressure. Their secondary is better. They can throw the ball. I think the Bucs beat their match here.
There's no good team to come out of this game, but for what it's worth, it's probably going to be the Rams.
Luke, man,
all right,
you got to stop with the subtle hate to every single team. Because you're never like all out.
No.
Like I am with the Cowboys. I'm like, haha, the Cowboys suck. Luke's just like, there's no good teams. They both suck.
Well, Luke did the same thing that I did, where we went Cowboys versus Bucks, and we both said Cowboys came out on top. So I mean,
Imagine letting
this-
I had the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl because I'm a real fan.
Imagine letting your bias
This-
ruin your chance of winning the championship
No.
or winning your bracket.
for Luke and I, this game doesn't really matter unless, well, this game doesn't matter, period, because we don't have the Rams listed, and we both said the Bucks lost. So there's no point here for Luke and I. So me and Luke,
I don't even care about the picks. I just don't like either of these teams.
I just there's no win.
Come on. We can get
There's no
we can
win.
get
All
rest of
right.
these.
Bills versus Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs win.
I said I think the Chiefs win. I do have
Said
Patriots
Chiefs.
versus Chiefs, but I still said Chiefs.
I want to talk about something about this real quick. I didn't think about this until recently. We've really put Patrick Mahomes on like this platform of the best young quarterback up and coming. He's going to be the next super contender. No one else is on his level. I think that's changed. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is on this high pedestal above everyone else anymore. I think Josh Allen's right there. I think Lamar Jackson can be up there. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. We're seeing a lot like this big growth in a lot of young quarterbacks. I think that's both really good for the league because it's not just the Patrick Mahomes show anymore. You still have Justin Herbert's cannon, Josh Allen's ability on both sides, Lamar Jackson's running ability. Like Patrick Mahomes isn't just far and away the best guy anymore. I think he is still the best, but you can actually like make arguments for other young quarterbacks now. That's both really good for the league because there's competition, but it's also really bad because you have some of these other young quarterbacks that are just playing out of their mind in their first season, and it's hurting them. Like Zach Wilson, we gave up on. Zach Wilson was probably the second or third most efficient quarterback at the end of the season.
He did really well for being on the Jets.
Trevor Lawrence. People are like, oh, he's so high potential, the team's just bad. A lot of people have given up on him thinking he's already a bust. Like halfway through his rookie year, we were ready to call him a bust. Jalen Hurts, another guy, young quarterback, not played well, didn't play amazing, we're giving up on him. The same thing happened with guys like Gardner Minshew. He played really well his first couple of seasons. They gave up on him. It's both really good for the league because it creates competition, but it's really bad for the league because it's giving fans these high expectations for young quarterbacks, and it doesn't happen. Like, it really doesn't. But this game, for me, if Josh Allen goes out there and puts on a clinic against their team, and outduels Patrick Mahomes, I think now we can have a legitimate argument. Is Josh Allen better than Patrick Mahomes? But I think that this game is going to open that debate. I still think the Chiefs win it just because of how well coached and how efficient their offense is.
And they have playoff experience.
That too. The Bills' defense is ridiculous. It's super good. They probably have the best safety duo in the league. Patrick Mahomes doesn't care. They don't. George Kittle does not care. Oh, you got George Kittle locked down? Tyreek Kittle. Oh, you got him locked down? Some random third-string receiver that just happens to suddenly go off because Patrick Mahomes. There's nothing else I can say about that. It's just ridiculous how good that team is.
All right, guys, and for our final topic today, thoughts for our team's off season.
I just want to get this quick thing out of the way. For the Eagles, we need another receiver. We do. Calvin Ridley trade would be amazing. It would. If not him, let's get Mike Williams. Let's get Allen Robinson in the offseason, free agency. 2 really good receivers that we can get, veteran guys. I love it. If we can get both Allen Robinson and Calvin Ridley, that'd be amazing. Jalen Hurts, I really do think is our best option. I don't think we should give up our draft picks or hurt our cap by getting a big receiver. And if we do, I don't want Russell Wilson. He's had 2 down seasons. He has not been amazing the last couple of years. Letting Russ cook has not worked. It's super expensive. He's an aging veteran. And to get him, we would have to give up Jalen Hurts because Seattle needs a young quarterback. Deshaun Watson, I would get. If we would get a clean Deshaun Watson, if all his scandal stuff is done, like that has to be over with. That cannot still be a thing. If that's still a thing, we shouldn't get him. Because if it comes out even like 1 or 2 cases are true, he could be out of the league and we would be left without a quarterback. I don't think we would have to trade Jalen Hurts because I think Houston likes Davis Mills. But getting Deshaun Watson would take most of our draft picks. This draft class is pretty darn deep. Like, people want to say it's a bad draft class because it's bad quarterback-wise. The receivers are amazing. The O-line's amazing. The defensive players in this draft are all super good. I think this would be a draft to keep all our picks. I really do. I think just the value we can get keeping Jalen Hurts and building around him, I think could be very good. But I don't control the team. There's nothing I can do. The fan pages and the fans of the Eagles are everywhere right now. So it is what it is. All I know is this offseason we need to get a receiver. And I really do think we should build around Hurts. But if we're going to get somebody else, if we do, it needs to be a clean Deshaun Watson. I do not want Russell Wilson.
I want to speak on the Cowboys before Luke takes over with all the stats and everything. I personally think, well, you're gonna go way further than I am, and mine's gonna be pointless. Don't make that face at me. I think that the Cowboys need to work on cleaning up penalties and focus and get their heads in the game. Honestly, there have been times when I've seen where they're not focused and it takes away, and I can tell that they have what it takes to win games, but averaging 7 penalties a game is just ridiculous. And if they focused more and didn't let stupid errors like, a punch or just like smack talk getting them upset, we probably wouldn't have as many penalties. We just need, I think that's a big focus point, is narrowing that down. That's what's messing us up.
Yeah, penalties were definitely the worst part of the season by far. When I'm Dallas going into this offseason, I'm clearing up cap space. I'm getting rid of some big contracts, and I'm rebuilding the O-line. That's got to be their focus, in my opinion. They've got Tyron Smith. I think he's good. He's got Terrence Steele as a backup. I think that's pretty decent right there for left tackle. Left guard is Connor Williams and McGovern. I think that can use some work. I think center can use some work with Baidez. I think I pronounced that right. I like Zach Martin. I think Collins is a pretty good option at right tackle, but I think there are definitely those positions on the line that need some work. That got sacked so much against the 49ers. We have got to get him more protection up front. And the next part, middle linebacker, is also one of the things I wanted to mention, because on our depth chart on CBS, it's Keanu Neal, and that's it. I don't think we should go heavy on free agency. I don't think we're going to get like an insane amount out of the draft. I think we clear up some receiving contracts. I think we clear up some of these big names. I think they probably part ways with Dalton Schultz, but maybe run with Pollard more than Zeke. I think we'll be all right.
Here's my question for y'all about the Cowboys. Do y'all think they should ride Mike McCarthy another year? Or
No.
So what I've been hearing is
No.
they might promote Dan Quinn. What do you think? What do you think of the promotion of Dan Quinn? Or what do y'all?
Luke is very furious about this. I just say no, but Luke is gonna have a fit. For those of you who aren't watching, Luke is
Mike McCarthy had some of the worst time management I've seen this season. Should they move Dan Quinn up? Probably. Is that what Jerry's gonna do? No.
Because Jerry doesn't do what we want.
No, he just wants head coaches that he can get under his thumb and leave there.
Yep. So. And it's not going to work. It's not in the cards. It's not what Jerry Jones wants, and it's not going to happen.
For my closing statement, re-sign Leighton Vander Esch. She played his heart out against the 49ers.
Agreed.
Get rid of Mike, man, or at least get better time management from him. It's so bad in multiple points this season.
Y'all wanted to go to the Super Bowl and you decided to hire the coach who's been consistently known for wasting top-tier talent and not making.
We didn't do anything. Don't you say we?
Y'all, the coach who ruined Aaron Rodgers' career could be the guy to save y'all. That was grade A signing. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to another episode of the All-Star Trio podcast. This episode was only 2 segments. It was also probably one of our longest episodes because I knew when I made the plan that this might be a very talked about episode just because of how long everything was. Hopefully you stuck around and didn't get completely bored. Thank you for listening. Tori?
Follow us on our socials. We are on Snapchat and TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. And Luke posts on our YouTube. So if you want to see our faces and our reaction, go over there. And
Yeah, but you can see my reaction when Nick said we have a good O-line.
yeah, get some pretty good reactions this episode. And now that I'm feeling much better, I'm posting again. So go check out those socials.
What do I say when I do this? And I just kind of stutter out, like, subscribe, follow, hit the bell, like,
Hit the
subscribe,
bell,
hit the
because
bell,
even I'm a part of the
follow.
notification squad.
Follow, tap the button, like, subscribe. I think you can rate us on Spotify now. So rate us 5 stars. That's something that could happen now. So
Give us a
Give us
like
a 5
on
star, give us a like,
iHeartRadio.
follow,
'cause I think
subscribe.
that's a thing.
ring the bell. What do YouTubers say when they do this?
Let's play the game of how many times can Nick say it until you do it.
Ending this episode. Thank you. Have a good one.
Peace.
Thank you, Leighton. Linebackers for life.
Podcast.
Man just walked away.
Podcast